I love watching films over and over again. There are a number of movies and television shows that I've watched so often I could quote every line. To some, this might seem a bit of a strange habit, and one that might raise questions such as, how can you enjoy the same story if you already know what's going to happen? I've had to think carefully about my answer. After all, some of my favourite films have been spoiled to me long before I got to them. I knew that Bruce Willis was dead long before I ever got to see The Sixth Sense. The simple answer is that I love picking up on everything I missed the first time round. There's so much detail in the best of movies, and if you only ever watch them once, you're going to miss out on half the fun. For me personally, one of the things that marks a truly great film is the amount of times you can go back to it and spot new details in set design, the costuming, the editing, and the acting that make you appreciate just how much work and craftsmanship went into making it. Of course, one of my favourite details to look at in movies is the way in which the best actors build their character and make their performances feel more natural. Sometimes I'll just watch single scenes from films I love over and over again just to pick up on all the little character building moments and subtle mannerisms that I missed the first time round. One of my favourite scenes to re-watch is a scene from Split, the supernatural thriller from 2016 directed by M. Night Shyamalan, has some excellent acting in it from both James McAvoy and Anya Taylor-Joy. Shyamalan is a director who spent a long time making quite terrible films, so it came as a welcome surprise when I saw Split, and it was actually very good and well directed. It's not a perfect film, but it has some brilliant scenes, and McAvoy relishes the chance to portray a character with multiple distinct personalities. While this could be an excuse to steal the show, it never feels as though he is overshadowing his co-stars, rather that he is working off their performances, especially in the scene I want to go over today. Our main lead and another girl have been kidnapped by Kevin, a man with multiple personalities. In the scene that unfolds, one of his personas, Miss Patricia, makes the two girls sandwiches, and somehow manages to make the entire experience feel like a walk to the gallows. The scene feels constantly tense, even when the atmospheric music gives way to so-called Asian people's music. Miss Patricia's quiet, calm voice makes us anticipate some sort of a break or a blow-up, especially as we already know that McAvoy's character is capable of kidnap and violence. The sweet demeanour of Miss Patricia is a clear facade, hiding a darker, crueler character. It comes out when she pulls on Casey's hair.
I'm sorry.
And when she loses control for a second after cutting a sandwich unevenly. There are a myriad of different mannerisms that mark Miss Patricia instantly as a unique personality, which McAvoy uses to quickly and efficiently introduce us to what is effectively a brand new character. For instance, she makes little noises of approval whenever she wants to reassure her prisoners or put them at ease. She makes cutesy smiles that never seem to quite reach her eyes, but instead put the audience on edge. She speaks softly and outwardly is very friendly and affectionate towards the girls, but constantly asserts her dominance over them in subtle ways. She puts flowers in their hair without asking, pulls them along the corridor, and, very deliberately, gives them orders in a polite but firm manner, similar to a teacher.
Come along. We'll have a proper meal.
But none of this overshadows any of the other actors in the scene. Anya Taylor-Joy's character, Casey, displays a lot of subtle tics that hint at her past in ways that make the character feel painfully real. Casey is skittish, much more so than the other character, Marcia. She moves her head quickly when travelling through the basement, trying to take everything in and look for exits. She recoils when Mrs. Patricia forces a flower in her hair. I'm not saying that Jessica Sulu is a particularly bad actress, but she does come off looking merely confused in sharp contrast to Casey's reaction. There are a lot of other moments in which Sulu's response just doesn't quite convey enough, although her vocal performance is a lot better.
Can Claire come eat with us?
No.
The way she makes her voice crack when asking a question does help to show her fear.
Help us! We're in here!
Taylor-Joy, however, always manages to balance her vocal and physical performance. She speaks hesitantly and softly, but slowly enough that we can tell she's thought carefully about what she's going to say. Casey observes Miss Patricia for a long time before talking to her, and throughout the film we get these moments where she uses things that she has noticed about the personalities to say the right thing and manipulate them in order to survive. In this case, she demonstrates an interesting animal fact in response to Miss Patricia's.
A buck can lose 30% of its weight during mating season chasing does around.
They're crepuscular, right? Means they travel around during dusk and dawn. Good for you.
Not only does this impress Patricia, but it keeps her in a good mood, something that's clearly in the captive's best interest. This of course is a strength of the script, but Taylor-Joy's delivery is spot on as she teases out the fact tentatively, not sure how Patricia will react. Her delivery and mannerisms tell us a lot about how she's building her character. Her skittish movements and constant observation tell us not just that she's afraid, but also hint that she is that way for a reason. As we will learn later on, she's a victim of abuse, and so it makes sense that she is warier and more alert than the other girls, but also that she's better at coping in extremely dangerous and stressful situations. Marcia may be a little underplayed by Jessica Sulu, but it works okay in the scene to contrast against Casey. While Taylor-Joy is undoubtedly a better actor, the more subdued way in which Marcia reacts to Patricia highlights the difference between her and Casey. Not only this, but her responses are much more ill thought out. Late in the scene, when Casey looks at the only door, thinking of how to escape, Marcia rashly begins to raise her chair, hoping to desperately knock her captor out. This shows that she isn't as careful or methodical as Casey, which hints at her eventual fate in the film. The fact she rushes to attack her captor shows that she's acting on guts and instinct instead of thinking things through. For me personally, the most enjoyable part of the scene is the interplay between Taylor-Joy and McAvoy. Both are softly spoken and both use recognisable character quirks to convey so much in a non-verbal way. While both of them are pretty amazing, I admire Taylor-Joy almost more because of the subtle way that she works. McAvoy has to make his characters over the top and unusual to make contrast between each of them, as he has to switch frequently, and most of them don't get that much screen time. The drawback of this is that the details of his performance stand out a lot more, and it can seem as though he's stealing the show. However, if we look at the way he reacts to Taylor-Joy in particular, we can see how he is using her strong performance to build on his own. The two work together almost flawlessly. I've watched this scene a whole bunch of times, as you could probably tell by now. However, I don't seem to get bored. I think that there are still aspects of it that I've missed, and the same is true of so many films. That's one of the joys of watching films after all. A good performer can add so much to their characterization just in the way that they cut a sandwich or brush someone's hair. And I think that's why it's good to come back to films again and again. Repeated viewings allow me to pick up on what I missed the first few times. And it improves not just the viewing experience, but gives me a new appreciation for the people who make films what they are. Thanks for watching.